Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Blues Down Under, show for City fans from the other side of the world, or as I like to call it, the Mancunian G'day. Wanted to say a big up to everybody. Those that have held with us for the last few weeks. This is something we've been wanting to do for a long time, and certainly wanted to try and keep it as Aussie as possible. But what better way to do it than introduce somebody who's, all the way from Whitefield, but calls Melbourne home, Alan.
Hi guys, how are you? Yep. It's 18 years I've been in Melbourne now.
Yeah, that's 19 years too long. Now, and special guest, you'd know him if you recognise him from his Rodri profile picture in on YouTube. But we got our good friend from Keeley, all the way from Tasmania, in for a bit of a chin wag this evening. How you doing down there in the deep south, mate?
I'm doing well, thanks, mate. Hello, chat. I hope everyone's well. It's a very cold night tonight, so we're getting through that. But no, it's good fun. Keen for a good chat.
Yeah, how cold is it getting there, mate? Is it Mancunian cold, or is it just like the sort of thing that they'll tell us to grow a pair and get over it?
I reckon they'll probably tell us to grow a pair, but if I had to guess right now, I'd probably say it's around like 8 to 5 or something like that.
Ooh, okay,
8 degrees.
that's getting there, I must say.
I got the window open too, so I might have to shut that.
As I've got family, my sister and my mother and father moved to Sandy Bay in Hobart. As soon as it gets to about 5 o'clock over there, the temperature just goes bang and drops. It does that every night, whereas up in your neck of the woods in Sydney and here, it doesn't tend to drop in the evenings as much. Tassie does get cold in the evenings, and I quite like that because you can sleep at night, so it's all right.
Yeah, with the electric blanket on, all nice and cozy.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't use one of them. I sweat them out too much, and I've destroyed a few in my teenage years, so I just don't go near it.
I go the fan and the electric blanket. I go the double combo.
True. Martin's just going to be in the background, just monitoring the chat and just posting anything that's worth discussing. We'll also have Nick. For those of you who know Nick, he's been on South Stand and been on here a few occasions. He's just on his way back from indoor football, so he should join us probably in the next 15, 20 minutes, absolute maximum. But first things first. Yeah, cool. Martin, yep. Good morning, all, and welcome to a brand new show every Wednesday morning from Down Under. Hope you enjoy it. Hope the show, lads, support. Don't forget to share it as well. If any Blues out there that have any friends over in Australia too, please make sure you share this with us as well too, because it doesn't matter if you've been a Blues for one day, if you've been a Blue for one lifetime, but always willing to listen to what you have to say and offer your 2 cents, as long as it's good or constructive criticism about the Blues and that. We're always happy to do that anyway. But one thing we've certainly got to do, what better way to start our inaugural episode and talk about a cracking little game that we had about 15 hours ago. Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 1. Now, we always thought it was going to be a close game. We didn't realise the manner in which we were going to be able to pick up 3 points. But look, first things first, I'll get to all the lineups and that in a bit, but I wanted to ask our special guest, Keely, just to get his thoughts on it. I mean, like obviously, 5 a.m. starts one thing, but it's worth it. It's worth getting up at that time, and that we can pinch a late win against a very, very tough Villa side, mate. I wanted to just see what you thought about the whole game itself, and just get your thoughts on everything and how you're feeling for the run home of the season.
I'm feeling over the moon, to be honest. Look, there's nothing better than a tough game like that, for example, where we feel like we control, but getting that late dagger I speak to a good mate of mine I speak to on Twitter, Magnus. He's in the stream quite a bit, or the spaces. Him and I have always said it doesn't matter how the performance is. If we can just get that late goal, get the 3 points, we move on, we focus on the next game. And I feel like there's been so many of those performances this season, and another one of them this morning, but you just got to take it. And it's no better feeling in a season like this one where we've struggled big time and we've not been our best, to get back to winning ways and feel like we have some form of winning mentality to our side again. It's a lovely feeling. And yeah, I was very happy with the goal. Very similar reaction to how Pep was as well, running up and down the touchline. Very happy. What about you guys?
Yeah, I can't complain, mate. I mean, it's nice when you wrap up a game with minutes to play, but not Sometimes you enjoy late finishes, sometimes you hate them. But look, I'm still buzzing from that result, and I don't know if you felt the same way, Kelly, too. But after the sort of snooze fest that we sort of had at Old Trafford, feel like we're maybe starting to turn a corner a little bit. Maybe just starting to get a bit of the momentum, that similar sort of momentum that, I mean, it's under different circumstances, but similar momentum to what we had to the title pushes over the last 4 or 5 years.
Spot on. And I think confidence is a big part of it. I think we just look like a more confident side in times throughout the game, and that's a massive part of it. Through our bad run and through all that, all the questionable results and whatnot that we had to deal with, I think there's no better feeling than getting over it and getting back to what we know best. And it's I'm over the moon, speechless if I'm honest.
Yeah. Before we get to you, Alan, because I know everybody's holding on your every word about a certain right back with a number 27, certain right back with number 27 on the back of his shirt. But before we do, I just wanted to quickly go through the lineups. Now, Stefan Ortega still in goal. As we know, Edison's out with an injury at the moment. Back four, Matias Nunez, Ruben Diaz, Josko Gvardiol, and Nico O'Reilly. So that's no different than what we've had the last few weeks. Mateo Kovacic playing in the number 6 role, and then it was a midfield of James McAtee, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, Omar Mamouche, and Kevin De Bruyne. That's the formation shows on that he's playing up front, but it's just basically I think everybody was having a go at that anyway. But Alan, first thoughts on the lineup came out, mate.
Well, I'll be honest, when I saw the lineup when I was driving to the Imperial in Melbourne early this morning, I was a bit concerned that Nico G wasn't playing, and I thought, oh shit! And I thought the midfield looked a bit slow. And I was worried because Villa are a good team. They've got a good squad and they're quite pacey. So, but to be fair, when I saw the team and to what actually happened, tactically, the Pep's team stopped Aston Villa bombing forward, which they did, and they kept the ball, kept control of the ball, and they played to a plan, and it worked, and it did work. And as far as I basically I'll describe it as the tram driver, as someone kindly called him in the.
You've already started me, mate. You've already started me. The bingo's already kicked off. I've got tram driver. You've already started, mate. So we'll just see how you go for the rest of it.
The tram driver to Piccadilly Station was.
Sorry for any copyright, LB.
He did okay for getting the game. He did a job. When he scored the goal, I think probably his best way to describe it, I'll describe what happened in the Imperial. Okay, when tram driver scored that goal at the end to win the game in the 93rd minute, everyone jumped on me in the pub to give me stick. Then Daps video called me, laughing down the video. And then Martin hammered me for about half an hour, okay, with text after text after text, giving me a load of grief, calling me a hypocrite and all the rest of it. And he was loving every second of it.
Rightly so.
Yeah, so I got a load of stick. So Nunez, to be fair to him, I thought he did okay in the game. He was pretty solid for someone that's not a fullback. And to score the winning goal, well, good on him. I hold my hands up, apologise, well done. And Steve Lewis is in the chat there, and Elliot, they're having a good laugh here on my expense. Well, sod you too, bugger off. And so overall, I can't whinge the result because it was a massive relief that we got that win. So 2 good wins against 2 good sides. So let's just try and win every game to the end of the season and secure a Champions League spot, because it's not over yet, nowhere near.
Keely, the back four pretty much speaks for itself, but that midfield, was there anything you weren't expecting or a little bit out of the ordinary?
Would I be wrong by saying we saw that lineup? Was it not last game, but the game before, or the game before that? I can't remember. I feel like we might have saw something. If it wasn't that, it was very similar.
It does scream a bit of the Palace game, doesn't it?
Maybe it was the Palace game, my bad, yeah.
I'll take it the only exception, but apart from that, I think it was pretty close to that.
Yeah, it did seem very similar to that, and yeah, I mean, it's very new, so still trying to process the whole thought behind it and what Pep's thinking about, going for. And I think times throughout the game, it looks like it works really well. We can hold possession well. We can make teams suffocate, and I think it's I think it works well. We got the result today. That's what matters. So if we're going to keep getting results, I'm not going to complain.
The only difference with the Palace lineup was Nico Gonzalez was in there instead of Bernardo Silva.
Yes.
Were most of you, before the lineup came out, were most of you hoping it was Nico, just knowing that they are a little bit deadly going through the middle, with Tielemans and what's his other name? The other midfielder, I can't remember his name.
It's a hard one because I feel like everyone's kind of thought as soon as Nico's come in, he's kind of just gonna help heaps and have this massive impact. And I think he showed great glimpses. I think he's looked like a great little player, and I think we've got a great player for the future, and he's going to develop into something tidy that we need, and he's going to be really helpful for our squad. Clearly, Pep doesn't have the trust in him yet fully to put him in these big games. I think we've all seen that by now because I don't want to say what people are saying, but we know what people are calling the older players of the club now. So the trustworthy players, let's call them that. Pep's trustworthy players, they're doing the job. I'm so happy with how Gundogan's been performing recently. I think he's really stepped up this second half of the year and proved that he can still play in this side and have an impact. Really happy with how the lineup played. I think, I think Nico's great to have in there, and I think you can always put him in there, but you run that risk of not having the control like a Kovacic has. As nice as it is to have that big body at the base of the midfield, he's still learning. So give him that time, and he'll become an unreal player. We can all see that.
Take a minute here to shout out to Foggy again, the man that gifts everybody bloody memberships. I mean, we can't thank you enough for your contributions to this channel as always, mate. Big up to you and everything you always do, mate. And I hope you're on the mend and all as well too, by the way. So big up. Thanks, Foggy. Always appreciate it, mate. Look, I get what you're saying, mate, Nick.
More than you believe. More than you believe, I'm happy.
Forgot about that. Just say what you say about Nico Gonzalez. This is a game that I feel like I would have liked to have seen him start, but I think he still does control the game from where he is, and I was concerned before the game, I must admit, because since he's played for City,
he's taking that mantle of controlling it, passing the ball forward, making us progressive, and he filled that gap that Rodri, usually plays. And I'm hopefully going to see the pair of them playing together next year because I think
we will.
very good.
We will. Just another patchwork in the sort of tapestry of hype, basically next season. I think that's just going to be one of the many things that we're looking forward to next season about more Nico and Nico and Rodri.
I thought tactically, Pep stopped Aston Villa bombing forward yesterday.
Yeah. Can we look at the start of the game? Could have been the absolute worst case scenario. Could have had Rashford score in about the first 20 seconds. But I felt like despite that little slight hiccup, or it could have been worse than a hiccup, obviously, I think we settled into the game relatively well. I think we created opportunities. I have to say they did look a little bit more threatening when they had the ball. They looked like they were a bit more on the front foot. Kind of reminded me of, the first half against Bournemouth in the Cup. Just felt like we were playing okay, but it's just like if we gave them too much ball, they were just ready to just absolutely just skin us. Yeah. So I think we kind of did it well to sort of keep that tame for a while there. But I mean, it was a really well taken goal. But it was a nice cutback, a little bit of a deflection from Marmouche, and Bernardo Silva did a good job at. Well, I was going to say put it away, but I've got to say I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like Emi Martinez, given the caliber of goalkeeper, I think he should be doing a lot more with that shot, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought that the City player on the line maybe took his eyesight away, and distracted him. I think that's one of the reasons why. But for a good first goal, very good first goal, good build up. So I can't really complain.
That's really good news, Foggy. There. A lot better, thanks. A few more radiotherapy sessions to go. Length May will know more. Okay, mate. Well, I'm going to save that date because, hopefully we can hear some very, very positive news anyway. Nick, glad you could join us, mate. How's things?
Yeah, good, lads. Sorry I'm late.
No, it's all good. Did you win your game at least?
No, 3-3 draw. So.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Did you score?
I got one. Scored.
We're back to the middle of last season. All he does is chaos football. He doesn't have control. You don't have control. You don't have control players in your team, mate. Get out, Pep out.
Honestly, we need some mid-season signings. Alan, you're putting the boots on.
Bit too old for that now, mate.
You might as well give him a tutu and some pom poms, mate, because that's about as good. That's about as much he can contribute.
Well, we're going to see if we can get I don't know, Gundogan or Bernardo to come across, considering we've shipped them all out. So.
Are you going to be on this warpath now for the next 2 or 3 years about trying to get some of our old players over to Melbourne City or something like?
100%.
I mean, at least you got the crowd. At least you get the crowds up from 1,500 to about maybe 2,500.
Yeah.
Anyway, less said about that, the better. Anyway, but yeah, bloody hell, I don't know. Just quickly, just see who else is here as well. Big up to everybody who got a membership gifted to him from Foggy. Obviously, give him big W's in the chat and a big thank you, of course. Staffy Dave, good to see you, mate. Pep seems to have found a formula to hopefully get us Champions League next season. I believe so. So if it's not a formula in terms of a complete starting 11, it's certainly a starting four at the back. I mean, do we want to talk about the back four again? Because it's something that we seem to talk about every week. Because it's not often that we have so much consistency at the back, especially this season. But Nick, seeing as you just come in, I mean, can you see an excuse why we want to move anybody or change this current formula we have at the back at the moment? I mean, I know it's good to see Akanji back from injuries and things like that, but I feel like with this back four right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know if you feel the same way, but yeah, tell me what you think.
No, 100%. I think I'd probably say the back three, to be honest, of left back, centre back. I think right back's probably still up for grabs. Nunez is good, but I'm obviously not 100% sold. At the moment it's ticking along quite nicely.
I agree with that.
I can't really complain with it. I mean, it's the best of what we got right now, and I just think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's just how I see it. Keely, what about yourself, mate? Would you change anything if Akanji came back and fit and was playing in form or anything, or is it?
I just don't. I think it's too hard to. It's been too consistent for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm loving a left-footed centre back in the team in Vardio in a two pairing. I've missed that from Laporte so much, and I just think, he's brilliant, isn't he, Vardio? He offers so much where he plays.
Yeah, and I don't know if you feel the same way too, but I feel like with Gvardiol, I think just spending these few weeks at centre back is actually going to help him a little bit with this longevity of a long season and then going into playing in the States as well too. So I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. But I think, it's good. It's good when you look at it and you can try to see the broader picture in terms of how we're utilising our players, how we're rotating them as well too, because let's be honest, like we're certainly not playing as many fixtures as we were on average over the last, say, 3 or 4 seasons, but this Club World Cup's going to throw a spanner in the works in that as well too. And the only thing I'm kind of concerned about just with this current squad in terms of starting next season is I've said before how hyped I am about next season, but I just feel like with this such a start-stop, it really reminds me of like when we came out of the COVID season when we finished the Champions League so late, and then we had to start-stop, and then the next season, and then we had that horrible performance against Leicester because we just weren't ready. The squad weren't up to full fitness, and you had other teams that had 6 months of basically, training and prepping themselves for next season. I'm a little bit worried we may get that because we just don't know what sort of start-stop situation we're going to have. It's like I'd love to win the FA Cup, but at the same time too, I don't want to bloody play the Community Shield either. Like I'd love to see as much as our first squad get ready for this.
Patrick, are you bothered about this Club World Cup? Because I'm not. As far as taking it seriously.
I'm a little bit sort of into it in a way because it'd be nice to win the first one under this new format.
Right.
It'd be good. I'm glad that we won the original format as well too. Yeah. FIFA's giving us something to play for with this prize money as well too, because that could contribute a lot to future spending. I'm not just saying for this summer, but for future spending as well. It's something that you can hold on to as well going into next season. And to be honest, given the terrible season that we had, it'd be nice to walk away with 1 or 2 extra trophies.
I would just like to challenge for the league title next season, and I don't want anything to hamper that. And I think
I get that. I just think this Club World Cup, mate, is sort of like a reverse pre-season. It's a combination of continue your momentum from what you're doing in this current season, but then also something you can hold on to depending on whenever we decide to get the players back to full fitness and ready to go for next season anyway. So, but the big thing for me is not just the Club World Cup and it depending how far or how well we go. It's what we're doing right now. We're on a good winning run now since Old Trafford. And if you want to go past Old Trafford, we've actually been beaten for about 6 or 7 games now, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I haven't done research. But I've always said this before. I said this teams that finish the season strongly it reflects how they start the following season as well. We've seen Liverpool do it in the Klopp seasons when he's had poor seasons, but they always finish strong trying to get that top 4. It reflects in the way that they start the following season. It always happens. Arsenal's had it happen a couple of times in the last few years for obvious reasons. So I think what we do now, what this small patch of what we're doing now will echo what we're doing in about 6 months' time. So I'm excited again. Another reason why we can hype next season up because of what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think.
Thanks, Mike.
For me, I think it'll be important for all the new players that are coming in. If we can get that all done and wrapped up pretty much like as soon as the season finishes, that'd be great. Have them obviously integrated and kind of trying to learn the philosophy as well.
Yeah.
I think dropping them into a brand new season, say for example, we end up with a whole new midfield, new wingers, whatever. I think that's a recipe for disaster. Obviously, this Club World Cup's going to be perfect. Get them in, get them playing. I'd even look at it as an opportunity to get like Nico in his preferred position as well. Get Oscar Bob minutes, all of these lads. Try them out in some different positions as well.
Well, Pep's already said he's going to treat it as a pre-season as well, didn't he? So that means quite a few of the youngsters are going to get a go.
And to be honest, I'd rather have the competition now at the end of this season than the start of next season.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter how well you prep yourself. It is still technically in a pre-season time of year in a pre-season mode. So there's no guarantees that we'd be able to perform well. I mean, when you think about it, you've got to look at how many clubs are in this competition that play on a calendar year. So if we're basically kicking off our season with this being like a pre-season sort of mindset or level of fitness, then these teams that are playing the calendar year, they're going to be in the prime of their season. They're going to absolutely we'd be at the risk of losing to this, like, for example, like this Wydad team or maybe a team from, say, Asia or the MLS or something, like, because they'll be primed and they'll be ready to play.
Well,
so
I'm
kind of glad that you can take some of the momentum that you create in, whether it's in Europe or in England, and you can sort of take that into this competition.
The champions of America, the MLS, are not playing in it. They picked Messi's team, haven't they? Who finished second or third, whatever it is. So
they were always going to get in.
Yeah,
because they are basically now the Galacticos of the MLS. Basically, they were always going to get it. Didn't matter where they finished the MLS. They were always going to get in. Alan, we know that. Yeah. I'll go back to the game. Obviously, Aston Villa equalised under controversial decisions. I'll go around table. Guys, obviously the big question, was it a penalty for you?
No.
Nope.
I'm going to say 50-50. I can see it being given. I can see it not being given. I think it's classic Premier League. But again, I feel like the refs don't know what the right call is a lot of the time. And some of the angles that they did show made it seem like there was more contact than there was. Look, again,
the referee made the right decision.
The
referee made the right decision initially, in my opinion, and he got pressured big time.
Yeah. It was like, hey, look at this angle that we've got. Keely, what do you think?
See, I don't know. It's a hard one for me as well, because I know I'd be very upset if it didn't get given as a City fan for us. But at the same time, what can you do when you're Diaz? Because he's made the contact. I know he didn't mean to make the contact, but he has made the contact. And when you bring someone down in the box, there's no ball involved. There's nothing.
Do you think Ramsey was looking for it?
He probably could have been, yeah. And Diaz wasn't looking for it either. So it's a very hard call to make for the referee. It's, look, as a City fan, obviously I'm going to say I wish it wasn't given. But at the same time, I know I can sit there and say if that wasn't given against us, I'd be fuming. So.
Yeah, I look at it like, if you try to look at it like frame by frame, I look at when the contact's made with Diaz. You actually look, I don't know if it's from Diaz actually getting his foot on the ball or if Ramsey makes a heavy touch. Because initially it looks like Ramsey makes a heavy touch and then he goes looking for the contact because he's made that mistake. So that's why I'm leaning more towards no. I'm not too sure, but there is contact, so I don't know to what extent that leans more towards it being a pen. I'm there 50-50 with you as well too, mate. But I will not give the benefit to Aston Villa, because I've got to say Ramsey was looking for it. He was definitely looking for it. Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, then Diaz touched the ball. He showed it in the replay. Even close up, he touches the ball, then he goes over.
Do you know the best person to speak to would be? He'd actually have a really good angle. Would be Martin. So if you want to put in the chat what you saw, if you had a good angle,
he said no pen.
No pen. Yeah.
He actually texted me straight after it.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking about it when I watched it. I thought Martin's got a really good line of sight for this one. So I'd love to. I would love to hear what he said about that. Yeah,
50 when half the City fans in the chat are divided on it. I think that's for me. That's telling. I think if it was given, if it's not given, get on with it. I thought we were the better team. I don't think Villa really came out of their shell at all. To be honest, I was really quite surprised in the way they set up and played.
What's Elliot going on about?
It's in the Gundo news. It's on City Extra. I don't know. I'm on their Twitter now, but I can't seem to see anything.
Elliot, can you just tell us?
Elliot, just post, mate, because I don't have Twitter, so I'm not too sure. Obviously, we're feeling a bit yucky when we saw Rashford score the equaliser, but I said before this game I thought he'd get on the score sheet somehow. So,
well, he should have got on in the first 18.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, that had us feeling a bit, heart and mouth, wasn't it? Yeah. But anyway, I'd rather he had that chance in the first 18 seconds than say in the last 18 seconds, because Alan, you can have the floor for this one. Martin, do you mind putting Alan on big screen, please? Because he needs to go on a Matias Nunez apology tour.
Just a solo.
Right. Nunez scored the winner. I'm not going to apologise on my view on Nunez. So let's get this completely straight. I still think he'll be sold at the end of the season. I still think he's a tram driver. But he did well to score the winning goal. So I'll give him that. And I'll say, good on you, well done. But if you're going to ask me to change my mind on him, he's not a fullback. We hopefully going to sign a right fullback. So he still is a tram driver. So I'll see him at Piccadilly Station next year.
I got another one. I got another one. So that's two.
Well,
I got to try and poke him with a stick to try and get.
What was another one? What was it?
No, I'll ask you questions throughout the show, and we'll see what we can get out of you. So yeah, we'll keep poking the bear, mate. So don't worry about it. Yeah. Okay, Ed, big up, mate. Thanks for joining us. Gundogan currently has no plans to leave Manchester City this summer, despite numerous lucrative and interesting inquiries. That was from Plattenberg, I believe. Plattigold, that's his. That should be his tag. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think for him, it's like if he still feels he can contribute to the team, then I mean, I still feel. To me personally, I still feel like he got sold a dream at Barcelona. So, yeah, look, is what it is. If we have Gundogan around, that's fine. I just hope we're not in a compromising position again, where we're forced to play him every 3 days throughout the season. Because he can't do it. He's a great squad member, but he can't. He's not your mainstay every day. Simple as that.
Yeah, but Pat, I think he's going to end up as one of the coaches on the staff eventually, anyway.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The amount of time he's put into that UEFA training license, I totally agree with you, mate. Absolutely, yeah. What else is there? I'll talk about the second half. Certainly felt like we came out with a bit more zest and a bit more vigor for that game. I don't know if you guys felt the same. I mean, I was a bit frustrated because I felt like our best opportunities came, and the only way the Villa nullified them was with set pieces and corners. So I was just like, well, I was worried they're going to figure it out because we never score on bloody set pieces and corners. So I don't know. Did you feel like? I'm going to say I felt like for the second half the goal was justified. I felt we played better in the second half compared to Villa. I was just, if anything, I felt the way we played, we probably should have scored that goal maybe 20 minutes earlier. But look, I know you guys will obviously bring in, what Doku did coming off the bench as well, and that obviously changed things heavily as well too. But I don't know. I just felt like the way we played in the second half, I felt like we could have easily had been able to score another one before Doku even came on. So I don't know. Keely, I'll get your thoughts, mate. What did you think? It was a bit better in the second, but I just felt like we could have done more with what we had.
Spot on, mate. I agree. There was a couple of really low, aggressive crosses that O'Reilly put in that were in absolutely beautiful areas. I think if Haaland was on the pitch, he'd probably find Haaland. They were just penalty spot, low balls, like you need your fullback crossing in. And I think, yeah, he offers so much, doesn't he, O'Reilly? I just feel like he offers us something so different, and that's what we need. Yeah. I don't mean to take Martin's words, but he's been literally a breath of fresh air because we've not had a profile like O'Reilly before. And yeah, Pep's using it to his advantage, definitely.
He certainly made Martin eat his words from when he came in because Martin didn't want the youngsters in.
Oh, don't.
And he's come in and done the business. So
don't do it. You're still in this bloody bandwagon, aren't you? No, that's enough out of you. No, look, you're right though. We've got to look at the bigger picture with O'Reilly. I think he seems to really be picking up like how it all sort of works for these Riku, Obi-Wan, mate. How this sort of system works for these inverted fullbacks. And I don't know, Nick, I'll get your thoughts on this. Like I think it's just from sort of the mentality, the sort of like the philosophy that they have, in the academy all the way through from basically, I think Nico said it from when you're in the under 16s all the way up to the first team, they have you playing, like learning how to become versatile. Like you might think you grow up being a midfielder, but next thing you know, you're playing wing backs for half the season, or you're learning how to properly invert, or, become like another midfielder, but at the same time, sort of know your role in terms of who's around you as well. But he's just, it's funny because, there's so many young players that we've had come through that we thought picked it up at a certain time, but I don't think I've seen anybody for a while, or as far as I can remember, I see an academy player come through and just seem to pick up his role so well. I don't know if it may be under different circumstances because a top four is a lot different than fighting for a title, but under these circumstances, he just seems to really just picked it up and ran with it, basically.
Definitely, and I think that obviously the biggest thing is Pep's shown that trust in him. I think for a kid his age to kind of grab that shirt and just kind of take it and run with it is almost unprecedented with Pep. Pep usually kind of puts you in for a few games, drags you out. The fact that he's been a mainstay in basically, I'd say probably our toughest kind of run-in for a long time is obviously incredible. I think The one thing I'll say on him is he has all the ability. All obviously technical ability is unbelievable, but he also kind of has that physical ability, which I think a lot of our kind of academy players that come through don't really have early on. I look at someone, Rico Lewis.
You know,
someone like
the biggest difference is with him? He's got the strength and the physical attributes to be able to handle the Premier League, where someone that comes in from the youth team might be slimmer, not strong, not filled out. So they struggle when they come in. Hence, like Phil Foden when he first came in was slim, knocked off the ball. Rico gets easily dunked off the ball. Whereas this lad comes in and he's a lot stronger. So he can handle it.
Do you feel like every game he plays, his ceiling's getting higher?
Yeah, big time.
I think also for me that so many of our young players kind of come in and they almost just knock it around. They're trying to be really safe with it. I think that the fact that he's got that license to kind of, he knows his ability. He knows he's able to whip in a ball and try and hit someone. I think McAtee missed almost a tap in at one point from one of the crosses he made in as well.
He could have had a hat trick.
Yeah.
But one thing about McAtee, he's getting in positions to score goals, which he is. He was unlucky.
Do you feel like with McAtee though, Alan? You feel like he's starting to figure it out at the wrong time though, given the chances that he's had this season.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit. See, Nico's got the age on his side. We said this before, 18, whatever it was. McAtee's 22. Like what Nico O'Reilly is doing, you'd think that he was the one who was 22 and McAtee was the one who was 18.
I think
based off previous seasons when we've had academy players come through.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest part is obviously he kept Morgan Rogers and like almost non-existent throughout that game. Morgan Rogers had to switch sides at points to try and get involved in the game, which unbelievable effort for a kid his age.
I think that had a lot to do with Pep's tactics on not letting them break on us, because we all know if Villa break on you with the pace that they've got, they'll destroy you. And we stopped that happening.
Yeah, but there was a lot of times where O'Reilly was kind of put in those one-on-one positions and, again, came out on top every single time. Unbelievable.
Direct Football makes a point here. Yeah, second start in the league. No, I get that, but he has played a lot of cup matches as well too. And he's had quite a few opportunities coming off the bench in all different circumstances, from several goal leads to to draws to being behind. And he just hasn't quite set the pitch alight compared to what Pep's asked Nico O'Reilly to do. I get what you're saying. There's a good player there, but do you think with what he's doing, do you think you'd want to have him in there as a mainstay if we were gunning for another title in 12 months' time? That's the question, and I still don't know yet. But so far from what I've seen yet, there's something there that we haven't been able to unlock out of him yet. So I don't.
Is he good enough as a squad player?
Sorry,
is he good enough for us as a squad player?
Is he happy to do that?
Sorry, Keelan?
So I was just going to say, is he happy to do that? Because I've been seeing links to obviously Germany and stuff because of the game time and whatnot. So that'll be interesting to see where he stands on that, because we obviously heard what he said at the start of the season and he's changed his mind. So
it's a good place for him to go.
Yeah,
because I think they'd at least be willing to give him a go, and maybe I think the transition from English football to Germany may be better for him. I mean, we saw what Jadon Sancho was able to do when he went to Dortmund, but I think just for the sake, I think just the fact that he'd get more game time and he'd have more than likely be confirmed on a week-to-week basis in a lineup in a good solid German side. I'm thinking anything from like a Leverkusen to like a Mönchengladbach, even a Dortmund. Basically, I don't know how heavy they've been scouting him. But I know for a fact, given the history of what German football does with young players, they certainly are able to find a way to utilize them and maximize the best out of their performances as well. And while we're not quite able to do that with McAtee, I'm sure there's some other club there that'd be able to get something good out of him as well. And the problem is like the second he starts playing good for another club, the conversation's going to come to, why do we keep him? It's like, because it's it's under completely different circumstances.
I think if he goes anywhere, it will be Germany.
Yeah,
best fitting for him as well, I think.
Yeah, we'll get more game time, like you say, and they develop young players, which they do.
Yeah, DJ and one. I think you got a point there. He does seem to drift out of games a little bit. I mean, look at the Salford hat trick, but he wasn't the best player on the pitch. It was just he just seemed to pop up at the right times, which is good. Sometimes positional play is good, but if you really want to take games by the scruff of the neck, you can't. We just think that there's more there, and it's just a shame that it hasn't been unlocked yet. That's all. Beyond belief, I see what you're saying, mate. He hasn't had a proper run, but I mean, he's had more opportunities than what he would have had if there was a fully fit squad, and he just hasn't quite taken it. Again, I agree with what a lot of people are saying here. There is a good player there, but I'm just not hyped enough for it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when we're going to see it. That's the only problem.
I'll be honest with you now. If he stays in the squad next season, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Big up, Luke. Member for 10 months. Thanks again for all your support and contributions, mate. Always appreciated. Thank you. Let's talk about, as LB puts it, the unks of the game. You know, going crazy about having one of the oldest midfielders in Premier League, and yet was still able to be somewhat effective with him. I want to start with Bernardo Silva. Obviously, he's been the talk of the Blue Town for the last few days.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Alan. Calm your farm. Look, anyway, yeah. Again, I'll agree with you, mate, but I would say very, very good game. It's a shame that once this sort of news comes out, that all of a sudden he starts hitting his stride that he had from previous, from bygone eras, basically. But I don't know. It seemed to be there was a little bit of Bernardo Silva at all in that game as well too. I don't know, Keely, what did you see, mate? Did you kind of see like, oh, it's great to see it, but then you're like, why did we have to see it in match day 34? Right.
Look, you're asking the wrong person for this question. I'm one of Bernardo Silva's biggest fans.
Good lad.
I've always just said, like, I completely get when we were really struggling, nothing was going our way. But to singly point out the hardest working player in the team does not make sense. He runs until he can't stand anymore. He is a brilliant footballer, and I'll always protect Bernardo. I'll always love him. And he put in the shift that we've seen him put in many times last night. And I don't know about you guys, but I think Bernardo's I think he's brilliant when he's in that deep role where he can have control of possession and dictate what he wants to do with it, because he's so calm. He's so clever. He just makes the right choices, I feel like. In the base of midfield, his decision-making is brilliant. I love it. It's awesome. Before people come at me, I totally get there's players that offer more on the right wing than Bernardo, but they don't offer more work rate, and I'll always say that.
You'll do for me.
Yeah, Nick, I don't know if you feel the same, mate, but he's been an absolute engine of a player, in a team that is known for being more zonal. But when you give him the keys to the entire field, I think he just puts in a shift.
Pigeonholing him out on that right wing's just, I think we've seen it far too often this season. We've known it doesn't work. I think everyone's kind of been calling out for him to be in the middle of the park. He brings energy, kind of as Keely mentioned. Something we've been crying out for. He's calm. I think I look at Kovacic and players like that are often, I don't know, I don't feel safe often when they've got the ball at their feet. I think Bernardo is one of the players that he doesn't lose the ball ever. Retention's unbelievable. And he was able to, especially today, kind of pop up in little positions where the defenders just kind of lost him. Whereas out on that right wing, I don't know if he's got enough to kind of create.
This is a good question because we talk about the midfielders. I want to get on to Kevin De Bruyne in a minute, but Elliot makes a good point here about genuine question. Where does Doku and Savio fit into the diamond formation? By the way, fares to Doku in the last two games. Yeah, look, it's a tricky one for me with the wingers because I love Doku as super sub right now because he just seems to offer such a different dynamic to what we played for. The dynamic he offers in the last 30 minutes is completely different to what we played in the previous 60 every game. So, but in terms of formations, I don't know because you would suggest that like what we've signed in January and what's coming forward would suggest that we are going to look for way more expansive football and we're willing to play at a higher tempo and not be too scared of giving the ball away. But in terms of formations, it's what do you think with Savio and Doku? I mean, we don't see them start as many games as we would probably assumed at the start of the season. But do you think that with Doku and Savio, is it something that's looked at more they may be considered to start more games, maybe not necessarily next season, but depending on how we look in terms of who we're going to be signing, in terms of, going forward in future years, like who's going to be the midfielders, are we going to bring in wing backs to offer more overlap play with these sort of players? It's a good question from Elliot, and it's something that, again, I'm not going to say it's another hype for next season because, again, we don't know what exactly is going to happen. Are they just going to be playing? Are they just going to be wingers who will just, try and bully, their opposing fullbacks, one-on-one as much as they can? Because one thing we have seen is a lot of our wingers getting double teamed, in a lot of matches as well. So what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to see more wing backs? Are we going to see more the idea of more expansive, high tempo, at risk of losing the ball a little bit more style football? Or I don't know. I just want to get your idea of what you guys think of that, because it is an interesting question, and it makes you wonder, like, what are we actually going to do with those two going forward?
Go for it, Alan.
I don't think we really can know exactly what Pep's going to do next year. We've got assumptions that we're going to play a bit more longer. I'm not so sure. We've got assumptions that we're going to play a wing-back type scenario. There's no evidence saying that we will. But Pep will come up with something new, yes. He's going to reorganise the midfield, because we are where Liverpool were 2 years ago, as the new midfielders have got to come in with a bit more pace and a bit more dynamism. So no one really knows what Pep's going to do. We can guess, but and I know, if we guess, I guarantee it'll be something completely different. You know what it's like. So, but we trust. We've just got to trust him and see how it goes. We're going to re-energise the side. We've got a number of factors to do before next season starts, namely the 115, which we've got to deal with that and get rid of it, and then we can go forward. So let's just hope that we get that sorted out and get rid of it.
Ricardo, big up, mate. Good to see you back again. What a win. How many sweating as every ball over the top from Villa was concerns with the fireman, Kuzanov in the centre of defence. We got away with one with our no-legs midfield. Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I mean, as I said, that midfield isn't exactly up to the tempo of what other parts of the pitch are doing as well too, mate. But again, I think you got to look at the bigger picture and think of what we're sort of doing in certain games, and the way we're playing is you got to look at this as sort of the bigger. This is just small steps towards the bigger picture for next season. So yeah, anything you see that's good, that's coming a little bit out of the ordinary, or it's different from the old control football mantra that we've had for the last few years, is something that we've got to look forward to for next season. So yeah, but Bernardo can still do it. Trouble is, you can't do it for 80% of the games. Michael, I agree with you, mate. I think you got to think about how much he's worked for us over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah,
I would be happy to give that guy a rest over next season. If he became a squad player, mate, I'm absolutely fine with that. If it's his last season, he just plays a squad player who helps bring in the new midfielders and obviously can help us shut down games for the last 20 minutes when we're trying to hold a 1-goal lead or something. I'm all for that. And I think we'd all be, because what he's done for us over the last few seasons, the guy deserves a rest, or he deserves to be rotated for a while.
That's the thing as well, Pat. It's not just all the games he's had this season. When's this guy ever injured? Seriously, this guy just plays, and
it's remarkable he hasn't had a long-term injury, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Luxury player to have, and if we can hold on to him, why not?
He's been here since Pep's been here, and he's done brilliant for us.
Another unk, Kev. What did you feel? I felt like it was a bit played like a quiet achiever sort of role today. Definitely didn't stand out compared to Bernardo or even Kovacic or Gundogan, but I felt like he just seemed to be playing a good sort of solid positional game. Sort of just wanted, it was just one of those just sort of calming roles. Didn't blow anybody away, but he certainly wasn't terrible. I don't know what you guys think, Nick. Yeah,
no, I'm with you on that. I think again he had some good moments. He had some not so great moments. I think obviously set pieces definitely needs improving next season. But yeah, I don't think he wasn't bad, wasn't great. He was just another number out there. I thought there was obviously players that played a little bit better. Bernardo and things like that stepped up today. But I think that's always going to be the case, especially with these players once they start getting on a bit. Obviously, they're one of them's going to kind of shine, and the other may have a bit of a slower game, but obviously just needed to grind out the result. And that's what we did.
Big up Geordie Toon. Good to see you in there, mate. Brilliant win for City last night. Helps your Oil brothers. Yes, when we play you, it is the real Abu Dhabi. Good luck at Wembley at the weekend. Thank you very much. I certainly hope we can have similar success to what you had a few months ago, mate. So big up yourself. I hope you're still celebrating that cup win. But yeah, thanks for your contributions, mate. Yeah, Alan, what do you think about Kev?
I just thought he played to a plan yesterday. The plan was to keep the shape, and he did exactly that. Kev can't run around as much as he used to be able to do because of his injuries and his age. And you got to remember the injuries in the last 2 years, especially the hamstrings and the groin strains he's had. He hasn't got the power anymore to do that game in, game out, game in, game out. It's not possible.
He does seem to have lost half a step, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Just slightly, yeah.
That's natural part. The injuries he's had and his age, that happens to everybody. It really does. So the club have made a decision. I personally think that's the right decision because we need to sign someone for 6 to 10 years who's got the energy levels in midfield. And, Kev can't do that anymore. Yeah. And, it's been, let's face it, him, David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Vincent Kompany, will be legends forever. And they will be legends forever. And amongst the best players we've ever had. So that'll be never taken away. And he'll get his statue, and he will get a statue.
Yep. Who else you mentioned? Kovacic. Again, another very good performance. Would you say he's probably been one of the most consistent performers since the new year?
Yeah,
definitely.
I think I mentioned it briefly on Daps's show a couple of hours ago that what I liked about what Kovacic does is, especially you see it in the second half, is he likes to drop back a little bit, almost playing like a third centre back in a way when we're building up from the back, and it sort of allows Gvardiol and Diaz to actually push out a little bit more, and it allows more direct channels for them to feed out to Nunez or feed out to Nico O'Reilly, or in the case of the winning goal was, he fed a direct pass straight through to Doku, who obviously had him on a one-on-one, which we'll get to shortly. But it's just it's funny because I look at a player like Kovacic. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but for someone who hasn't even finished the second season at Manchester City, but I think he already had the pedigree anyway from his time at Real Madrid and his time at Chelsea. But you do get the sense that there's a bit of an elder statesman there, and sometimes when you look at him play, you don't think he's been there for 2 years. You think he's been there for 6 or 7, and he's just a sensible, good, well-rounded footballer. And I think that look at him, and it's just like I'd be happy to keep him around for a bit longer, like a couple more seasons if we could. But we just got to say what Pep's wants to do for future years, and if he's going to suit what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'll throw one to you, Pat. I was going to ask you what was your thoughts on Marmoush's game?
Little bit mixed. He showed glimpses. He showed glimpses of being able to sort of break the lines and that. I mean, it was a shame he was offside for that chance we had with about 10 minutes to play, but I still think he's figuring it out. I certainly do hope that a lot of fans aren't necessarily going after him yet, because I think the problem is that those numbers that he put up in this first half of the season for Frankfurt, everybody's under the impression that he's going to do that again. And it's like, this is a completely different scenario. This is a completely different readjustment as well too. So I think, to be honest, it's more, it's one of those things where this guy's going to have to take time. And, while we're dying for Haaland to get back, I think, again, another thing to be hyped over is just seeing what kind of link-up play we may see between Marmoush and with Haaland too. Because Marmoush actually came out and said when he was at Frankfurt, he said he preferred playing behind the strikers. He never actually wanted to play the number 9 role. And that's part of the reason why, I can't remember who their forward was at Frankfurt, but the link-up play that they had, that's the reason why they were able to share so many goals and so many assists as well for the first half of, Frankfurt's Bundesliga season. So it's going to take time, but I think the more experience he gets, the better it'll be. And like, hey, he's bagged a nice number of goals at home. So, as long as he just keeps performing well at home, I can't really complain too much anyway. So
yeah, just jumping in, Pat. Obviously, Elliot's just put in the chat, but it looks
City
like
Extra Bomber, mate. If you could just post what you've seen, and we'll put it up there, mate. Because
I've just had a look. So City are actually interested in Milos Kerkez, the left back from Bournemouth.
oh wow, okay,
Nice.
There you go, Martin.
won't
Thank you for
happen.
that.
We don't buy left backs. No, get rid of it. Get it off the screen, Martin. We don't buy left
We
backs. We
have
haven't
left
bought
back
it for about 12
from
years.
Yeah,
What?
that's not going to happen.
No.
Let's not talk about the last actual left back we bought.
Yeah. Now, if he's a left wing back, possibly, but we just don't do it anymore. It's just not us. So, yeah, true. But
He
anyway,
would be unbelievable to come in, though.
Sorry.
It would be unbelievable if he came.
Oh
in.
yeah. I worry a little bit about Bournemouth because I think the way that they've played this season, I think you'll see a lot of their players. They'll get plenty of money come into their pot for sure, but I think there's going to be a lot of changes to that squad. But let's quickly go on to the goal. Obviously, the highlight of the night. Not just because it was a really beautifully set up goal from Jeremy Doku, but because clearly player of the match, the most informed player we have so far this season. The savior. He does everything. He scores all the goals. He creates all the assists. He drives the bus. Matias Nunez, absolutely fantastic.
Oh, for God's sake.
It won't be the only goal he scores this season. What do you think? Alan?
It was a panic buy. Is that on your card?
Yep.
It is. Get it along. Yes. Get in.
You're trying to take him off.
Mate, he's garbage. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Dear.
But look, let's talk about this the setup for the goal. Obviously, Jeremy Doku, skinning an absolute, an absolute Slothian disaster. He had an absolute disaster. He's the class.
Hey, hang on.
I got to work on that anyway.
Skinning.
What?
Doku, skinning. He does that naturally, skinning fullbacks. But then he has his head down, and then when he usually crosses it, it goes to anyone but a City player. It's just a blind look. But he did it this time, and guess what? Nunez was at the other end of it, and you've been copping it all day since. Change. Headless chicken.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay.
Oh, God.
You don't like it. I know you'd be bloody sending your CV into Metrolink.
I was going to say, Pat, usually
give me a rest. Give me a rest. Oh, God.
Usually I've got Alan giving me a call telling me how bad our players are. He's very quiet when Nunez scored this morning.
That's good. Less phone calls from me.
Did I ring you? Yes, I did. I did
very
ring
quiet.
You. Yep.
When Nunez scored.
I did ring you.
I reckon Alan spoke to a few people today.
Stevie Lewis impression and go, I did ring you in it.
Do you know what the problem is that Alan has is Nunez's competition, because his competition is from the same bloody town that he's from, so he can't be seen as supporting this like Brexit football.
Oh God!
You think Rico's better, don't you?
All I'll say is Bury did very well at the weekend. They won their league. They got promoted, and 7,500 people were there. Brilliant. Well done, Bury. The Shakers at Gig Lane win the league.
Yeah, big up to him. Let's talk about the goal. I mean, you could talk about Doku when he came on. Did anybody notice though? About 5 minutes before the goal was scored, Doku was one-on-one a bit deeper on the wing still, but a bit deeper. And Disasi actually got a challenge in, and it went out for a throw-in. Do you think the fact that he was able to do it the first time is the reason why he went in for that lunge in the 94th minute?
100%.
I think he's gone. Oh, I've been able to get one on this guy. I'm going to do it again, but Doku didn't give him a chance.
No, and I think obviously when Doku gets you one-on-one, I think it's, as Pep and a few other players have kind of mentioned, it's game over.
No,
Absolutely game over. He is unbelievably quick with that first 5 yards.
Yeah. It's a shame he doesn't really materialise after that.
True, Michael. Yeah, if KDB did that, we'd all be losing the plot, wouldn't we? But, you know, it had to be another Belgian this time. So it is what it is. But, yeah.
I got a question about Doku. What do you guys prefer, and chat? Do you prefer when Doku starts or comes off the bench?
Off the bench.
Oh, bench for sure.
Yeah, I
just
agree.
the dynamic that that creates, just changing the game for the last half an hour whenever he comes on. Yeah,
it's like two different games of football, isn't it?
Mm.
Can we,
crazy.
after every statement we make, can we please use "in it" as the end of the statement? Because I want to wind up a certain person in the chat who keeps saying that when he's on a stream. In it.
Why do we have to do that? We're not Cockney, like.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to stay though.
What?
Yeah.
Alan, you missed Alan. You're asking us to say "in it," and what's the name of the show?
All right, Mancunian way.
No, that's the name of the channel. What's the name of the show?
Well, it's the Aussie program.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can say "good day." That's the start of the conversation. Isn't
This isn't the opening ceremony to the Sydney Olympics, all right? Don't have to go with the whole good day stuff, okay? I mean, if we want to be truly Australian, we could say a lot of other things, but I don't think.
Oh yeah.
We haven't got the UK watershed, unfortunately. So,
unfortunately, we can't use the
and this definitely isn't the Ange Postecoglou Appreciation Society. Let me tell you, but yeah,
mate. Yeah. But, well, Keely uses mate all the time. You're a big one for mate. You know, mate.
Yep. Actually, while we're here too, I think a lot of people in the chat would be looking forward to actually finally meeting you, Keely, because you've had a good conversation with everybody for many months. Been part of this channel, and I think it'd be good to just get out. Like, first of all, like, you're all the way down in Tasmania, like the best thing to come out of Tasmania since Errol Flynn. But, mate, I think it's good just give everybody sort of a perspective on like what's life like down there, because I think when it comes to Australia, all the emphasis is basically East Coast. It's Sydney, Melbourne, a little bit of Brisbane, and depending on where you're from, if you're from the UK, especially from the north, a little bit of Perth, because there's so many expats that live over there as well. But Tassie seems to be like I'm not going to say the forgotten child, but just one of those things where it's like, from an international standpoint, there's always more emphasis on the mainland. So I mean, like, what's life like for you there as a Blue, as a City fan? Like, obviously it's no different to Australia in terms of being dominated by other footy codes, just the same way we are. But like, how does it work for you? Because I always wondered if your story varies a little bit to what we have, or if there's just we're just a cut of the same cloth, really.
That's a good question, that Pat. It's very boring down where I am, if that helps. There's not a lot to do. You run out of things to do. So we do find ourselves coming up to the mainland a few times a year for either a trip to the footy or just a weekend away, because you can actually do stuff.
By footy, by the way, he means AFL.
Sorry, I completely forgot.
No, you're right. There's some in the chat that just need to be.
Yeah, no, totally get that.
I hate lost in translation, but you just need to be careful.
Yeah, no, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
So
Steve Black makes a good point. He says Tasmanian non-Red Devil. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, I've got a mate in the chat at the moment who's a Red Devil, so make sure you send him your blue emojis.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Rob.
See, I don't have control of the channel yet, Alan. I'll time you out if you start. Don't.
I actually got called a Tassie Del from Martin the other day on the space.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I think I was on when I heard that the other day.
Oh no, it wasn't the space, was it? It was the stream.
The one thing about Tassie is that everyone Tasmanians is everyone knows each other.
Yep.
And they're all interbred, and which they are.
I was waiting for this.
Alan, no, get in the bin, mate. Don't start. No.
Listen,
we don't say that.
It's
true.
We
don't say that.
They've all got two heads.
No, we don't.
If this head's big enough for two, then you can have that.
We don't, Alan. God's sake.
It's true. My brother-in-law says that. He lives there. He's a Tasmanian.
Just justify saying it on someone else's channel, for God's sake. Is that your mate in the chat? I love Lame.
No, it's Ryan Barr. That's his name. He's put the devil.
Oh,
emojis.
Ryan Barr. Oh, yeah. With your emojis, okay.
Yeah, Tom,
Ryan,
if you want.
No. He's all right. Just he's got bigger problems to worry about. Don't worry.
Don't worry, mate.
Did anybody see that stat that came out about United season? They said if Liverpool had stopped playing after they beat Spurs on December 22nd, they'd still be ahead of them in the league right now.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, quality, mate. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, bloody hell. Oh man, it's just mental. Yeah, I don't know. Let's quickly look forward to the weekend. City back at the Etihad of the South, aka Wembley. Got a Sunday afternoon game against Nottingham Forest. Now, doesn't matter if you're from the UK. It doesn't matter if you're from Manchester. It doesn't matter if you're from Sydney or from Australia. Not the most pleasant kickoff time, I must say. I've just got to say, first of all, big up to everybody making the trip down for that as well, too, because I know it's not going to be difficult for you. I know it's not going to be easy for you getting back, and given you know most of you will probably have work on a Monday too. That's just, I think it's just disgusting. You know why they weren't able to put that on a Saturday. It just beggars belief. But again, we go down this wormhole all the time about TV times and how much they dominate what everything's been said and things like that. So, you know, to quote a certain Aussie manager, it is what it is, mate. But you know, it's we can bitch and moan as much as we want about kickoff times and things like that. But you know, this is a game that I'm actually looking forward to. You know, it's always good to be back at Wembley and that too. But is there anything that sort of concerns you about Forest in a way? I know we obviously had a disappointing result at the City Ground there a few weeks back, but I certainly say we've probably turned a new page, you know, since then. So I don't know. What's your confident guys going in? I'll start with Keely first.
Yeah, look, I'm confident. Short and simple for you. I think we can go there and get a result. When was the last time they played at Wembley? Was it when they got promoted from Championship?
Possibly. Yeah, actually it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a big stage, Wembley. So
I suppose the question is how many players are left over from that promotion as well. So
yes, and
you never know. You don't know.
It's a very big stage, so you can never judge how they're going to handle it until the day gets there. But we've been there, so I don't see why we can't go and do it again. And look, there's nothing more I want after this season than an FA Cup and Champions League. I think that'd top off everything. It would just make everything that's happened, you know. Yeah, it was pretty hard to deal with, but we got past it. If we get a trophy, Champions League, can't complain. We go again next season.
Keely, we on for the shameless treble? Community Shield, FA Cup and Club World Cup?
Next topic. I've got an Arsenal fan who loves talking about Community Shield.
Good deflection there, mate.
Is it, mate?
Good deflectionary tactics there. Nick, your thoughts? And I'll add on as well too. I want you to tell me, do you think Morgan Gibbs-White will be in the shop window with this game?
Big time. And I think I think this is going to be really good for a lot of City fans that have been anti-Morgan Gibbs-White to get a bit of a glimpse at him as well. Yeah. So I'm excited to watch this game. The one thing, Keely, I'd probably say is I'm a bit anxious about the pace that they do have, obviously on both flanks. Alanga's obviously in great form. Hudson-Odoi obviously scored against us last time as well. Chris Wood obviously he's in good form as well.
He terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me.
Yep. So options are.
Yep.
But again, I think defensively we've been a lot better, a lot more compact to kind of handle that as well.
Alan, do you think playing on I'm not sure about the dimensions of City Ground, but you get the feeling that City Ground is a smaller ground compared to Wembley. Do you think playing at Wembley we might be able to exploit them, expand the game a little bit more?
It's going to be a difficult game. It's a big pitch, big occasion, Wembley Stadium. I rate Forest, I'll be honest with you. I've watched them a lot this season. I think they're good. We have to be careful yet again on the pace. And Chris Wood, big City fan, obviously will try. It would be a very good second strikers for next season. I know Martin doesn't like that, but do you agree? Do you agree with that, Pat? Do you think he's a potential for a second striker?
Let me answer your question with another question and say, is the Pope Catholic? Rest in peace, by the way. Yeah. Of course. He'd be a fantastic addition to any squad. He makes any squad better.
He's a unit, scores goals.
I will end this stream right, pleading now. I will end this stream right now.
We drag him in.
I was waiting for the stream ender. I was waiting for it.
Waiting.
We put too many Aussies in the one place. We make life hell for everybody.
Yeah, look, we drag him in, and he did. He took the bait. He took the bait straight away.
Yep. Yeah. I've got to say too. I'm expecting. I'm expecting the crowd to be their fans to be up for it as well too. You know, it's been a while since they've had a proper trip to Wembley, and but question then becomes and I think Daps alluded to this earlier with Wolfie on the Never Foul with his Forest channel, that he said he would happily give away the FA Cup if it meant they got top 4 or top 5. Because again, I think it comes down to the pedigree of that club, given what they've done in Europe in previous years. It's an interesting one because I don't know. Certainly of the remaining clubs, I think Villa and Palace would absolutely bite your hand off to get that FA Cup. But yeah,
it's money. Champions League. That's what's killing.
I know. You say that, but regardless of wherever they play, you know, Forest have got money and they've shown it. So depends. Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, from the outside looking in, it's always going to be a tough one for us to answer as well. Anyway, but
Martin for Pope.
And every Chris Wood ever.
Yeah.
No one's allowed to use the word Chris Wood anymore.
Yeah, because Wood.
Get him in.
Why have Chris Wood when you can have Crosswood? Oh dear. Can
you imagine if they signed him as a second striker? Can you imagine Martin? He'd just blow up, wouldn't he?
We can dare to dream, but anyway. Geordie Toon actually put something interesting here. Just said, Forest will play a low block and try to hit the wide areas with pace. It's easy to work out. Absolutely, mate. And I think that's no different to how any other teams have sort of gone up against us, basically since about October last year. So, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. The other thing too is like if they actually are able to find a way to get an early goal, they've got something to hold on to for the remainder of the game. So we want to try and avoid that happening as well. It's going to be an interesting match. I think they'll do everything in their right minds to try and kill tempo. They'll do everything in their right mind to try and catch us on the break, catch us flat-footed. I just think we just have to just sort of, just keep all that sort of stuff at bay. Just be patient. Even if it's similar to like an Everton game where it's like we kill a little bit. We kill a little bit about we kill a little bit of the tempo if it means that we have a bit more control and a little bit more discipline, which I'm totally fine with. I have no problems with. I just don't want to see a recurrence of any sort of, negative sort of, play that we've had over the last, not necessarily the last month or two, but anything that might come back and haunt us from previous months, or from the first half of the season. Martin, yep, MGW, mate. I don't know if you feel the same as us, but I think he's definitely in the shop window with this game as well. So, yeah.
In it.
Mate, bugger off. Oh dear. I think we'll wrap up in the next few minutes, but I just quickly wanted to go through. Might just quickly do something about, because I know Ozzy and myself and Martin had a bit to say about the upcoming fixtures and who we think might threaten us now. Now I think from when we last spoke about this, with the top 4 race, I think things have changed a bit since obviously the results against Everton and Aston Villa has certainly put us in a bit more in the driving seat as well too. But are there any games between now and the end of league games between now and the end of the season that you're still a little bit concerned about? Are you more concerned about what the other oppositions have got, got to play? Are you more worried about, or are you more worried about what they've got to play as much as what we've got to play? Like, what's your thoughts? Like, yeah, guys, just jump in.
Fulham is my only fear, and I'd like to get it wrapped up before we play the last game of the season.
Yeah, I mentioned that to you before, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys? I mean, we've got Wolves on the Friday night, Southampton away. I mean, 2 fixtures that we should get the job done. I'd like to think get the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say Bournemouth are probably. I know their form of late has kind of dipped a little bit, but I still see that as a pretty tricky game. They've got players to hurt us as well.
Yeah.
Semenyo
Small
is
little
always
ground
dangerous.
to go to that.
Yeah.
No, we're at home for that one, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
For Bournemouth, yeah. The only thing I was just thinking about, and I know we looked at this before, we're a little bit concerned about Bournemouth, particularly I think we were looking at this fixture as early as before we played the cup fixture. Let's not forget too, it's KDB's last home game. The crowd and the fans and the team are going to be up for it. So I expect a really like proper performance from the lads for that game. So the only other possibility I'm thinking is if Bournemouth just drop a couple more points between now and that fixture, they'll be on the beach. They've got nothing to play for. Europe's out of reach. So that'll help as well too. But I just think that the momentum, BB said it perfectly. He said we have a bit of momentum now, and that's absolutely right. But I think also the momentum plus also something to play for, last home game for KDB, I expect us to absolutely I'm not going to say put Bournemouth to the sword because I think they've been a great side this season. One of the most underrated teams in the Premier League. But I just feel like we have something to play for. And ideally if we can send KDB out with a great send-off. And ideally, as you said, Alan, if we can wrap up top 5, top 4 before Fulham, then we're on the beach.
Correct.
Yeah. I was going to say we obviously I think the best thing that we're obviously doing at the minute is kind of just keeping the pressure on the other teams as well around us. I think grinding out the 2 results that we've just had, unbelievable. I know Alan and I discussed the Everton game at about halftime. Alan was having a meltdown that we weren't creating chances, but I said to him, you've just got to be patient. Chances will come in the second half. And again, we've just kind of got to nick some of these games and get over that line. It's keep the pressure on those other teams around us. Like we've been in this position before. We've got the experienced players that know what they're doing. Just got to back them in.
I suppose the big question you probably got to ask, say Newcastle and Villa and Chelsea is how often have they been in this situation where they've had to win consecutively towards the end of the season? Not many of them. Yeah, there's not many of them. And the last time one of those did it was Chelsea. That was nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think just the character of the team and the manner in which we play at the end of this season and every season since Pep's been here just shows that why I feel like there's a reason why we should be so confident to wrapping up the top.
Chelsea and Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken, they've got each other, haven't they?
Well, I looked at the table before. Can't share screen yet, but we are currently on. Here's the table. Here we go. We're currently on 61. We can get a maximum of 73 points. In terms of other points, Forest have 5 games to play. They're currently on 60, so they can get a maximum of up to 75 points. So they win all their games, they'll mathematically finish above us. Newcastle as well too. They've got 5 to play. They're on 59, so they can finish at 74. Given though that Newcastle have to play Chelsea, who are on 57 points. With 5 games to play, so they can finish with 72. So even if they win all their games and we win all our games, then we'll still finish 1 ahead of them. But ideally, if Newcastle and Chelsea was to end up in a draw, then that basically takes that. Provided we win all our games, that takes 2 teams below us mathematically.
That's why I said we need to win every game.
Yeah. So the way it is there at the moment is if we win every game, the worst will finish as 5th.
Yeah.
The worst will finish as 5th, but. I still feel like there's more to be said about other teams playing other teams. I mean, I think Newcastle have got to go away to Brighton. It's not going to be easy. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that anyway. But
just play our games, focus on our fixtures.
Yeah. And it's obviously nice when other teams do us a favor, but we have to assume that that's not going to happen for us. So what it is.
Yes.
But, no, all good, guys. How are we going for time? Well, 10 p.m. here. Now, Martin feels. Look, guys, I think we might wrap it up there anyway. Big up to everybody who has contributed to our inaugural episode. I know it took a little while to get it off the ground, but I'm so happy that we've finally been able to get something started. Yeah. I wanted to say big up to Alan as always. Obviously today wasn't about you actually it was all about you because of Nunez. But we can only hope for more of the same, and hopefully you'll come to your senses sooner rather than never. But, mate, as I said, it's always a pleasure with you, mate. Never a chore. So thanks very much again for being a part of the show.
No problem. Thank you for everybody.
Just trying to damn with fake praise there.
I know. No problem. I'd just like to, obviously, you guys were born and bred Aussies. Obviously, I'm not. I'm from Manchester, but live in Melbourne now. I'd like to just find out when you just suddenly decided I'm going to be a City fan, when that was, and why you're a City fan. So I'd like to ask you three. You'll all have different reasons. You know, what I get out of it for being a part of these channels and the supporters club that we run in the Imperial in Melbourne is the football club's my link to home, which is important to me. That's my reason. But obviously, you'll have different reasons than I will. We know Pat works with Qantas and spends half his life in the air going back and forth from Manchester. Lucky sod. So you know,
I did try to look at going over for Forest, by the way.
Oh no!
I looked at the possibility.
Cheap
like,
no. You know,
yeah.
So I'd like to know. Obviously, with Nick, you'll have different reasons. That's fine. And Keeley as well from our Tasmanian from Lonnie. So I'd like to find out what the reasons why. And you suddenly said, right, okay. So Nick, you go first.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. Again, I don't know if anyone kind of knows over here, the Premier League's not the main sport. We've kind of got a few other codes and things. So growing up, wasn't really into the football. By chance, one of my best mates, probably about 10, 12 years ago now, big Chelsea fan, was like, come over, I'm going to watch a game tonight. And it happened to be City Chelsea. Of course, Aguero was playing, pretty much scored two absolute worldies. Yeah. Absolute worldies. And for me, that was it. I was like, well, that's my team, that's my guy. And kind of just jumped on it ever since then. And it's been
Was that Mancuni's last season?
Pardon?
Was that Mancuni's last season?
Might have been. It was like two absolute worldies as well. Yeah.
So that's why you get along with Alan, because in his mind, it all went to shit after Mancini left.
Thing is that, mate, I love Mancini. He's my favourite. I've got pictures of him everywhere.
But
it's not a house; it's a bloody shrine to him.
It is.
I've seen it, mate. I've seen it. It's a bloody shrine. Mind you, though, one of the coolest things you have, though, I think, is a Mancini signed matchday program from the 93-20 match as well.
Yeah. That
was cool. I remember saying that. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good one." Because I'm a big fan of trying to collect matchday programs.
Yeah.
What about you, Keely?
Yeah, Keely, your story, mate.
Bit of a funny one. This it's not the usual one. Watch a game or anything like that. It was actually play a game. Funny one. This as well. My favourite player back on FIFA 10 was Carlos Tevez.
Ooh,
okay.
Yeah, get that.
But before I become a proper City fan, I didn't actually realise he played for Man United. I was too young and uneducated.
Don't swear. Yeah.
But I've now learned that he's a blue, and I love that, and that's why I'll forever love him. And look, it was really just playing FIFA as a little kid. I went on a holiday to Bali in Indonesia when I was a young kid, and for Christmas one year, I asked for some Man City kits because I loved the City kits ever since I was playing with them on FIFA, and I fell in love with the colour blue ever since. My Australian football team, Geelong, they're blue. I support Sydney FC in the A-League. They're sky blue.
It's not real sky blue.
I love my sky blue. I love my blue, and being a big City fan for a very long time.
What you've got to learn is you don't have anything red in your house.
Yeah, that's when you start to become proper blue. But yeah. Keely, are you hoping in the near future you can get over to Manchester for some matches?
It's a dream of mine, mate. I'd love to do that someday. Definitely a plan of mine. I just working towards it, but it'll definitely happen one day.
Well, I don't know to what extent how much of a presence we have in terms of supporter clubs in Tassie, but if you certainly reach out to the Melbourne guys, Nick and Alan will help you out. They'll be able to arrange something for you because they get it. But when you're a member of a supporters club, you always get access to matchday tickets. So
yes,
make sure to reach out to them and they'll certainly look after you. Yeah, I know you messaged me a few months ago about it.
Yeah. We spoke about that. Yeah, no, thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Good story, mate. A quick question. FIFA 2010, were they still selling that with Tim Cahill on the front? Because the Aussie version, the Aussie import one of FIFA for years always had Tim Cahill on the front. I'm trying to remember if it... Yeah, I just can't remember if it was... Because he was still at Everton until 2012. but I know he was on the front of a lot of them, but I can't remember if he was up until that late. But God,
he always scored against us as well. Every time
he caused headaches because I love the guy to bits. What he did for Australia was amazing, but God, he used to score too many goals against City.
Yeah, big time.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Punch that bloody flag.
Oh dear. No, it was just awful. Now, look, my story goes back to, God, when was the early 2000s? It was, I don't really know when it actually started, but it was just sort of a combination of things that sort of just, just similar to you, Keely. It's just a combination of things that sort of occurred. I played cricket with a mate of mine his dad was from Manchester. He'd moved out to Australia in the 80s and that. And he never really sort of shoved football down our throats, but like every Saturday we'd play, morning matches for Miranda Magpies, and he'd always turn up with his with one of his old Saab kits on, or his old, like an old brother kit or something like that. And I look back on it now and I'm like, God, those kits would be worth a pretty penny now, like, because they're the proper original ones as well. And it's like we never really sort of got into any sort of football and that until we got to like our late teens. And I still remember the night because it happened to be like an early kickoff, and I wasn't 18 yet, but it was an early kickoff on a Saturday, a disco as we like to call it over here in Sydney. And I happened to go over one night just to play video games at his house and just chill and just da. And turns out that night was actually the last ever derby at Main Road. You'll Alan will remember it. Remember the 9th of November.
Yeah,
you were there. Where were you sitting with that game? You were up at the Kit Packs. Were you in the Kit Packs?
No, I wasn't. I was actually in the main stand that day.
Oh, you're in the main stand. That's where your season ticket was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because what happened was that when they knocked the Kit Packs down, when it was standing up to make it all seater, most of the Kit Packs fans went over to the main stand and sat over there, and I just stayed there in the main road, didn't move from it. So I was in the main stand then.
Well, I just remember watching the game, and it's just like my mate's dad's TV, just the speakers were just distorting with the sound of the crowd. Like I couldn't get over how loud it was. And when I found out after the game that the team hadn't won anything for over 25 years, I was like, and they're still that loud. Like that's something I could sort of get on to. And the more and more I started learning about the team, it was like, well, I always grew up with sky blue being my favorite color, similar to you, Keely. But we had an Aussie in the team and Danny Tiazzo as well. And I listened to Oasis almost religiously growing up as a kid as well. So I just always knew that it was going to happen. It certainly wasn't something that happened overnight. But then, I graduated to high school in 2003, and then by 2004 I moved to New York. I lived there for 2 years, and going from trying to watch a game at 4 a.m. to then suddenly being able to watch nearly every game at like 10 a.m. was just a blessing in disguise. And luckily when I was over there, I met a few people, other people from Manchester as well too. Some were City fans, most were Reds. But, we sort of spent time together, and, I started really getting into football a bit more as well. And it was funny because like the first time I ever watched them play was, the last derby at Main Road. And obviously, if anybody remembers that, we beat United 3-1 that day. And then it was so funny because 12 months later, just over 12 months later, I was settling into New York. And then, I remember, Alan will remember it, we played that game at the end of the 03-04 season when we first moved into the City of Manchester Stadium. We had to beat Newcastle, who were trying to go for Champions League, and we had to beat them to avoid relegation. And again, another situation of just the crowd that day was absolutely electric. And, these are the sort of things that just stick with you. And, sooner or later when it does happen, you just sort of allow yourself to just fall down this sort of blue rabbit hole, basically. And, I've been falling down it since, for over 20 year now. And, I've loved every minute of it, whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter, because you've got a combination of a great football club, a well-storied football club as well too, and a fantastic fan base as well too that will take you under their wing. At the same time, they'll make you laugh your head off as well, because there's so many good memories that you can share, and so many good memories that this club creates. And while people do everything to try and put us down and things like that, they can't take away the sort of bonds and how much fun it actually is to be a Blue. You can't take that away from us.
We are the eternal soap opera club. And we are the soap opera club. Do you know what's funny that sticks with me? Like everybody talks about how iconic Martin Tyler's like commentary was, 93-20 with the Aguero goal. But the one thing that really stood out for me was after they showed the replay of Aguero's goal, you hear him. He goes, this is this typical City, the team that build you up to let you down. Yeah, exactly. And that always stuck with me as well too. Yeah. Like, it's so true. It's so true. Like I didn't see the dark days like you did. But I'll tell you what, when I started, that first season I started watching, we finished 9th and got that punched a ticket to the UEFA Cup because we played the what do they call it back in the day? When your team in Europe had the fair play with the least yellow cards. And I just looked and I was like, if I just started watching this club and this is going to be like every season, I'm fine with that.
And then, I went in that with the mentality, and then I met a few older like City fans who are like, "No, be careful what you wish for." And then sure enough, the next season we're bloody struggling to.
When Aguero scored that goal, I was sat next to my dad in the Colin Bell stand, right? And my dad, the final whistle went, and I sat down. I was exhausted, going through the turmoil, losing a game to 10 men, and then to win it in the last seconds of the game, turn it around. Yep. And my dad says he was laughing his head off. He wasn't laughing at me because I was exhausted. He says only, and his exact words were, and he's watched them since the 1950s, right? Yep. And he turned around to me and said, "It's the only club that can win the league in that way. No other club would do it that way. You put the fans in all the turmoil you could possibly think." And it's so true. They used to, they were they had a team that when they got relegated, they would take the ball to the corner flag, thinking a draw was enough just to keep up when we needed to win, and they would win the corner flag to waste time, and they did. And the only club I know, and I've been in Main Road. My first game was 1971, and in the 70s we were a good side. We won trophies and finished second to Liverpool in 76, 78. We were a good side. And then we went through the turmoil of going down and coming back and down. It was like that for a long time. And we could, pardon the expression, fuck up a very good situation very quickly. So that's
House Captain says something good here. The dark days of character building, thankfully and hopefully long gone. I agree with you, mate. And that's part of the reason why Martin started this channel, was to sort of bring the experiences that you had, your generation had, so that you can share them with the younger generation. And we're still fighting to try and keep our younger generation humble, but it will take time, and sooner or later, I think you got to understand that, you have to go through the darkness to find the light. So it's good that we learn the stories from everybody, and the more you learn, the more you appreciate where you've come from to understand where you're going to go. So
absolutely,
and may the story continue. May the story continue. I do hope, like in modern day typical City fashion, despite this terrible season we've had, we can still walk away with a decent amount of silverware. And despite everything though, you could be a United fan. So
exactly,
yeah.
And they don't know the meaning of the words struggle and suffer. Trust me, they don't.
Oh, this is their version of it now, though. So anyway, but All right, guys. Well, look, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add. I think we covered a fair lot today. I mean, I think we're all collectively buzzing still from that result, because I think we didn't quite go in there with a lot of positivity for this match. Given the way Aston Villa have been playing over recent weeks or months and that, and I can't be more happier than that, to be honest. And puts us in a driving spot for more European away days next season. Did you guys need to plug anything, Alan? Obviously, you'll probably just say,
no.
Will the Imperial be open on the weekend for anybody who's going to attend?
Yeah,
it's not the most ideal kickoff, but
the pub, we are upstairs in the function room on Sunday again for the cup semi-final. But before that, Liverpool are playing downstairs, and they're downstairs. And if
that's right, they do play at the same time, don't
they? And if they win, they win the league, which is a nightmare. But there we go. It is what it is.
Is that part of the reason why we want Palace to beat Arsenal tomorrow?
Yeah.
No,
I was just going to jump in and say, obviously, thanks for running the show today, Pat.
Thanks,
really,
mate.
Wonderful job, mate.
Big up, Pat.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Keely. Thank you, Nick. Big up to Keely for doing this as well too, mate. You've covered yourself with plenty of glory, and we'll be more than happy to have you back on future episodes, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and it's good to put a face and a voice to the opinions, mate, because you've been a great contributor to the channel for a while now.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Contact me on Twitter or Facebook, and I'll send you the info to become a member of the sports club, mate. Right?
Yeah. Don't you worry, Alan. I've said to a couple of people, I will make my way to the pub when I'm in Melbourne next time and there's a game on. Don't you worry, I'll be there.
Good man.
I don't know when it will
Sydney,
be,
mate.
but
You're more than welcome when you're up in Sydney as well too. House Captain, big up, mate. Always appreciate it, mate. Thank you. But that's it. I think we'll wrap up the Blues Down Under episode. We are back for Thursday night chats. Martin and Ozzy will be back. I think I'll be back as well too. Obviously, we'll have a bit further dissection of Aston Villa. Look forward to Forest as well. And just anything else. So obviously, hopefully more transfer news comes up because it seemed to break while we're on show here as well too. So hopefully there'll be more to talk about. Actually, hopefully, of course, there will definitely be more stuff to talk about. But until then, guys, big up on the way out. If you haven't liked the channel, please make sure you do subscribe as well if you're new. Obviously, it helps us a lot as well too. We're at just over 5.2K. Obviously, would love to get to 6K. I don't know, Martin. I don't know if our target's going to be reached by the end of the season, but let's hope we can get it at the start of the season, maybe. Obviously, get the word out to everybody out there to the channel, particularly if you know anybody in Australia as well too, because as I said before, we'd love to get your thoughts and opinions. Because City is starting to grow out here in Australia, and we'd love to be the tip of the spear in terms of getting the word out to everybody. So I'll leave it at that anyway. Big up to everybody, and we'll see you in the coming days. Until then, up the Blues. Big win today, and let's go and get ourselves punch another ticket to Wembley in a few weeks' time. Come on, City.
Nunez.
Nunez.